Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Kathy at Attic Treasures, etc. and welcome to Scrap Saturday. So before we get started with Scrap Saturday, I just wanted to share a couple of things that I have in my Etsy shop. And I have a set of these 4 journal spot cards. They're kind of like secret journal note spots you can glue into a journal or use in Happy Mail, give away as gifts, or have as a removable in your junk journal. And I have 4 of them here. I have 2 with the tabs on the sides and 2 with the tabs on the top. And you might have seen my video on how I made these, and I'll link that at the end. But I just wanted to put them up in my Etsy shop as a set. So I'll just briefly go through them. They all have string closures with discs to wrap the string around. These 2 have the lace medallions. They all have some sort of a little charm. This one has 2 actually, so these 3 have a key charm. This one has a little bee on it. There's all, you know, a little bit of collaging and stuff like that. So I'm going to start, let's see, move these aside. I'm going to start with this one. So this one has a string closure and a removable belt if you choose to make it a removable in your journal, or you can just glue the whole thing down and the belt will be stationary. But for now it comes off. You lift up the tab, open it up inside, and I have 3 stationary pieces of stationery paper that I sewed around and glued on. And then this one has 2 little pockets here on this side. And 2, so I guess you wouldn't want to make it a glue down, but let's see, if you did that, you could glue it down like this, and oh, so you could. Okay, so if you glue it down with this panel and open it up, then you can still access the pockets on the back. So there's that one. And then this one I did a little bit grungier. It has some Tim Holtz little ring fastener here that's attached with a brad, and then it has a key, a butterfly, some mushrooms, and then this vintage paper clip that I found, and a little charm with the number 8 on it. Now this one was made with book page. I used dictionary book page with it, and then I covered the inside with some graph paper and some stamping, reinforced the edges with washi tape, and then covered the outside with some Tim Holtz collage paper, collage paper in the typeset design. And I really like the way this one came out. This is, you know, more of a little, I don't know, you could turn it into something, put it in a steampunk journal or just anything really. Okay, and then these 2 open up with side tabs, and this one has vintage note paper on the inside, and it has 2 little pockets here with some tags inside. And then this one has the bee charm with a lace medallion on it. And you open it up, some more of that vintage note paper. 2 pockets here with tags, and that's that one. And I also have some wallpaper sample sets. Each one has 6 pieces of wallpaper in it that are coordinated. So that's that one. And they, you know, they're varying sizes, but each one has at least 6. So there I have 2 sets of this one, and then 2 more pink tones. This one also has an extra little piece of border with it. And you can see that these are all in really pretty pinks and greens, kind of a white background or a cream background. And then I have a couple of blue sets as well that I think are really, really, really pretty. And then I have a couple of more neutral sets, or 3 more neutral sets. And I just think these are super pretty. The descriptions of all of these are listed in my Etsy shop, which is, there's a link to my Etsy shop below in the description. So there you have it. Now, one of the reasons I put together these wallpaper sets is because I had so much fun working with wallpaper when I was doing a collage. And I thought, well, maybe other people want to as well. And what I made was this. And so this was all some wallpaper scraps that I had laying around in my stash. So I just cut them up into 1-inch strips and random lengths, and then just sort of collaged them around. And then I did some fancy sewing on it, if you can call that fancy, I guess. And I collaged it onto a back of coffee dyed paper. And it was a long one. I think it was 11 by 17, I think. And I just really liked the way it turned out. And then I took it and cut some of it off, and I made these journal cards. So I just cut them down and collaged on them with some birds and mushrooms, a word, some butterflies, and then glued them onto some index cards and then sewed around them. So why don't we go ahead and play with some more wallpaper scraps? That's what I thought we would do today. So what I've done is, after cutting out those wallpaper sets, I took some of the scraps left over from that and cut them down into 2-inch by 1/2-inch strips. And I have them kind of just arranged, you know, in these little cups, just so that the different wallpapers are, so that I've got the same wallpapers together and the same colors together. So when I go through and do what I'm thinking of, it might turn out halfway decent. So we'll see. So what I have is this harebrained scheme in my head that I hope is not going to be too harebrained, where I want to do a herringbone pattern with these. So I took a piece of file folder and cut it down, and then I covered it with just some vintage dictionary paper and inked around the edges. And the idea behind that is that in case any of the background shows, it's only going to show this, which is kind of nice. So I hope this is going to turn out. We'll see. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Okie doke. So now I've got my background all done, and as I was saying, I just used some vintage dictionary page to cover it. And obviously I didn't care which way the printing went, because most of it isn't going to show. But what I hope to do is to make a herringbone pattern with these pieces, and I'm just going to start layering them on, and we'll see how it goes. And I think the first piece is probably the most crucial. It's going to be the anchor piece. So I'm going to do it at a 45-degree angle from this corner to this corner on this side. Okay, the first piece is down. And I'm just going to go along and take a piece out of each little cup, and until I run out of the pieces in that cup, and then we'll see what goes on next. So the next piece, gonna butt right up against that way. So of course you can do this same thing with scrapbook paper or book page, or you know, any kind of paper, but since I had these scraps of wallpaper, I thought, why not play with them? The important thing is that they be the same size. If you're going to do a herringbone pattern like this, they kind of need to be the same size so that they fit together. So these pieces aren't like perfect, and that's kind of one reason I wanted to have this backing on, so that if some places showed through, then it wasn't, you know, terrible. So this is not a fast process, as you can see. So I'm going to turn the camera off and do the rest off camera, and I'll come back when I'm done. All right, so I have finished laying on all of the wallpaper pieces, and I really like the pattern and the way that it turned out. I think it looks really good. I love all the colors together. I'm super glad that I covered the original piece of file folder with some book page, because there are some places along here where it shows through, because of course nothing's perfect and they didn't match up totally perfectly in every instance. But I really like the way that looks with it showing through that way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim around and then trim off the excess, and then I will seal it so that it doesn't all come apart when I try to work with it. All right. Oh, I really, really like this. I'm debating on what I would want to use it for. Okay, one thing I think I want to do is see how this edge is nice and aligned. The pieces are all aligned with that edge there, but they're not on this side. It has these little gaps. I think I am going to go ahead and just trim that off, just so that they're nice and even. And it will look like I did everything on purpose. There. Oh, I like that better. Okay, now I am going to seal this with Distress Collage Medium. But should I ink the edges first? I think I'm going to ink the edges first. I'm just using Vintage Photo. I may use it as a cover for a journal, or cut it up and use it as like the focal point on the cover. I'm just not sure yet. All I'm sure of is that so far I really like that pattern. I'm not a quilter, but I am a sewer. So let's darken up some of these super white ones. So happy with that. All right, it is sealing time, so you grab a brush. And this is Distress Collage Medium that I'm using. It's just a really excellent sealer. Of course, you can use Mod Podge probably as well. So this is just one type of thing that you can do with wallpaper scraps, and or wallpaper in general. Now, like I said, I'm not a quilter, so if you're a quilter and you can see how I, you know, things are have gaps and stuff in them, don't judge me. But the point is that you don't have to be super precise. If one of the pieces was just a little bit too long as I was fitting it in, I just snipped it with the scissors just to make it fit. And it's, you know, it's a little time consuming, but it's not difficult, because if I can do it, anybody can do it. Having never done this before, I can say that with complete confidence. Okay, I am going to let this dry, and I will be back, and then we'll figure out what I'm going to do with it. Okay, so I have given this 3 coats of the Distress Collage Medium to seal it. And now what I would like to do is to flex some paint on it. And I'm going to use these 2, they're acrylic paint, matte finish, but they've got, like, they look metallic, so they're by Folk Art. And I'm using brushed rose gold and brushed bronze, and we'll see how that goes. So I have some in this little cup, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a spritz of water, just to kind of thin it down a little bit. And I'm doing this just to kind of unify everything, just some, you know, random little splashes and drops. Now I want to also add some of the brushed bronze. We'll see how that looks. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, now I'm going to dry it off and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is sufficiently dry and I want to put one final sealing coat on here, but I'm going to do it with wax paper. And if you have seen some of my earlier videos, you've watched me do this. So I have it on this quilting pad it's a press and seal, or I'm sorry, cut and press. And I have wax paper on top of my piece. Then I'm going to cover it with a towel. My iron is set with no steam, and I have it on the cotton setting. And I have not tried this on wallpaper before. I've done it plenty of times on papers. Okay, so the object of this is for the wax paper to leave the wax behind. And if it works right, then you should have a little bit of resistance. And right now I'm not getting any. And that resistance is the paper part leaving the wax behind and it's separating, and you can hear it do that. So I'm going to go a little bit longer. Sometimes this takes a couple of tries, but you don't want to do it too long, because what happens is that the paper will stick as well as the wax, and then you have to peel little pieces of the paper off with tweezers, and then that's not fun. So it's best to do press and check, press and check, press and check. And again, I'm not getting any resistance at all. So it's still, and maybe because it's wallpaper. So I don't even know if this is going to totally work. Maybe there's something with the surface texture of the wallpaper that makes it not work, but we'll find out. Oh, it's starting. Okay, so it just needs a little bit longer. I've also found that it doesn't really work when it's just paper by itself. You have to have like a coat of collage medium or Mod Podge or something like that down. Dry, of course, but I have been unsuccessful in making it stick without some kind of glue on top to make it stick to. Okay, there is a little bit of resistance, so I'm going to call that done so that I don't go too long. Okay, so we just need to let that cool. And while I do that, I'm going to put my iron away and get my table set back up with my mat. All right, so I have the wax paper on here now, and I really like the way this is turning out. And I've been struggling with what I want to do with this. I really like the pattern and I don't want to cut it up. So what I've decided to do is to turn it into a little bit of, or a little journal, you know, something that's not very big, but might bring a smile to a little girl's face. So I have some ideas. I have a book, 1929 edition of A Children's Garden of Verses. So I thought I would incorporate some of the illustrations from that. I'm going to, first of all, score it. So this point right here is the one, it just happens to be right in the middle. So I'm going to use that as my center for the spine, and then go half an inch on either side. So it ends up with just a 1-inch spine. So nothing huge. Okay, so I'm going to bring my scoreboard up, and just want to make sure to have this marked on the other side so that I don't score it in the wrong place. I'm just going to put a pencil mark right there where the tip is. So I'm going to score 1/2 inch away on either side. This is not usually how I make my covers, so it's kind of an experiment. I usually make them in 3 pieces, but we're just gonna try this. If it doesn't work, I'll do something else with it. So that we can fold this, and I'm really hoping that it doesn't lift up any of the wallpaper pieces. So far that's holding pretty well. The other way. So for right now I'm just training it. Now to put this felt on here on the inside, I just really don't like using glue because it just it uses a lot of glue. So I'm going to go over to my Xyron. I have a 9-inch Xyron. I'll leave a link to what that is in the description below, and it's hard to fit it on this table, so I'm going to go put a layer of adhesive on the back here. So I will be right back. Okay, so what I have here is the backing, and then it's got like this film on the top. The adhesive is on the bottom. So now I will remove the film. And just peel the backing away, and the adhesive is coming off. Well, there will be enough on there, I believe. Wow, that's really weird. I've never had that happen before. Okay, well, it's okay because all I'm doing is tacking down the felt so that I can put my lining in, and that holds it in place just fine. So I cut this a little smaller than my piece because what I will end up doing is putting a lining on and then sewing all the way around, and then this way that the felt doesn't end up showing through. Okay. Oh, I just love this. Oh, this is so cute. Okay, so 3 coats of Distress Collage Medium and a layer of wax paper, and that's working out just fine. And then I have this wallpaper that I want to put on the inside. I'm also going to take this to the Xyron, but I'm going to cut it at the right width this way. Okay, I'll be right back. See, this is how it's supposed to come off. Nice and smooth. Let's see, so this is the front of the book. So what I'm going to do is lay it on this way. I have to pull it a little bit closer to me. Oh, this has a really nice feel to it. Now, before I take it to my sewing machine, I thought it might be nice to add a little bit of lace to the inside edge. Maybe I'll trim off the edge here first. I first got my Xyron when I was scrapbooking years ago, and boy, ever since I started making junk journals, I really pulled it back into service. I think that's really pretty. Really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna tuck this lace in here, and it's just a little bit of added interest. And with the Xyron, you can get different cartridges for them. So you can get laminating cartridges, you can get removable adhesive, or repositionable adhesive, I guess I should say. And even magnets and stuff like that. So I have actually found them at thrift stores. So you know, keep your eyes open. You might find one at a thrift store. Okay, I'm going to sew around this and I'll be right back. Okay, I am loving how this is turning out. The lace went on really nicely. It's stitched all the way around. It looks really good on the inside, but I need to ink the edges. So I'm going to do that now, on the inside mostly, but I'll go on the outside too. I'm so glad I decided not to cut this up because it just has such a cool feel to it. Okay, this is the front, and I have some embellishments that I want to add. Now, as I said, I have this 1929 edition of A Child's Garden of Verses, and the illustrations in it are so pretty, really vintage looking. I love this one. So I'm going to use some of those elements inside. Now, it's a 1956 present, and I know that because I pulled this illustration out of there from the facing page, or the first page. I don't know what you call it, but anyway, it had a handwritten inscription in it, and it was dated 1956. So I had this frame that I distressed with some distress crayons, and I did that on a video a while back, and I'll try to remember which video that is and link it down below. But these are some of the Tim Holtz Spaceboard frames, and so I put this little picture behind it. So I'm going to glue her on here, and I'm going to use this frog closure. I'm going to put this roughly about here. And then I also have this flowers. This is also a Tim Holtz flower from his layers, I think, that I wanted to put on there. And then I'll put some adhesive underneath it, like one of these little squares, just to kind of give it some dimension. But let me put the frame down first. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. Oh, she's so cute, isn't she? Oh my gosh. 1956, that's the year I was born. I'm going to ink around here. And I also have some Gilded Paste wax that I'm going to put kind of on the edges of this, just to give this a little bit of shine, I guess. Make it a little bit more magical, I guess. Not that I believe in magic, but as a figure of speech, it gives it kind of an ethereal quality. And this is Gilded Paste Wax Antique Gold. I'm trying to think of where this is going to need some help. Probably right about there. So I will cut this down so that it doesn't show. And this stuff is really aggressive, so wherever it's going to end up, that better be where I want it. I don't want to cover up her face or the date. Okay, so right about there is where I want that to be. This just helps support the part of the flower that is hanging over the edge of the frame. So cute. I think this needs a little bit of the liquid pearls. Well, I didn't intend for this video to be this long, but the more I started working with this, the more fun it started to be, and the more ideas I got. And then down here, I have another little embellishment that I wanted to put on here. This little lace heart was just bright white this morning. This is actually the second day of me doing this. For you, it's only been a fraction of a second. I had to play with it and figure out what I wanted to do with it. And I came up with some ideas. So anyway, I soaked this in coffee so that it wasn't quite so bright white. And then I have this little embellishment that I want to add. Found these teeny weeny little tubes of E6000. And since this is metal, I thought I would just go ahead and do that. Just add it with the metal. The glue that works really well on metal. And then I have this little key that I wanted to put in there. Well, The last thing that I'll be doing is attaching this closure, this little frog closure, but I don't want to do that until these liquid pearls dry. So I'm going to call this done for now, and you'll probably see this in my Etsy shop soon. But don't you just love the way this turned out? The wallpaper just worked really, really well in this application, and it's sticking down just with the 3 coats of collage medium and the wax paper, and then this beautiful inside. So these are some of the wonderful things that you can do with wallpaper. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry it was so long, but I hope you got some good ideas out of it and are willing to try working with the wallpaper. I'll leave a link below to my Etsy shop in case you're interested in seeing what I have in there for the wallpaper sets. And I hope to see you in my next video. So please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and subscribe, and let the serendipity find you. So take care, everybody. Have a great day. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.